Do you know the exact moment a man decides he can't get you out of his head? It's not when you seduce him. It's not when you look perfect. And it's not even when you show him how intelligent you are. It's when you say something to him that no one else sees in him, something that touches a part of his masculine identity, the part that longs for genuine recognition. And here's what many mature women don't understand. They hold in their hands the most powerful emotional weapon of all, but they keep it locked away, shaped by decades of false societal conditioning. After 30 years of analyzing male psychology, I've come to a realization. There is a massive difference between what men say they want and what leaves a lasting emotional imprint on them. Younger women try to impress with their bodies, their youth, or their constant availability. Mature women who understand this secret don't play that game, and they operate in a completely different league, the league of deep emotional recognition. Let me share something that changed my perspective forever. Men live in a constant emotional desert. A 2019 YouGov study revealed a shocking result. Over 63% of men reported rarely or never receiving a genuine compliment, not from friends, not from colleagues, not even from their own partner. Even more staggering, 81% of these men said they could remember a sincere compliment even years, sometimes decades, later. Imagine living in that emotional drought, and suddenly someone truly sees you. Not your appearance, not your money, not your status, but you, your essence, the part of you you thought was invisible. That's what happens when a mature woman masters the art of the transformative compliment. But I'll be brutally honest with you, most women of your generation were taught the exact opposite. They were taught to hold back, not to seem too interested, to leave all emotional initiatives to the man. Too many compliments were seen as desperate, open appreciation as unfeminine. The result? Millions of exceptional women go through life holding back the very thing that could create deep, unforgettable connections. I fully understand how this came to be. They were raised in a time when female modesty was considered the highest virtue. Showing admiration for a man was seen as a loss of power. Yet this very conditioning is what robs them of what could revolutionize their relationships, the superpower of male recognition. After years of clinical research, I've discovered this. When a mature woman praises a man in the right way, she doesn't lose power. She taps into the most profound form of influence there is, the ability to leave an emotional imprint. And this is especially powerful in women your age, because your praise carries a different weight. It doesn't come from naivety or inexperience, but from a life lived, from emotional maturity, from the ability to distinguish the real from the superficial. A 2021 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships left a deep impression on me. Researchers observed men interacting with women of different ages and communication styles. The result was clear. The men found those women most attractive, memorable, and emotionally impactful who gave them personal, honest compliments about their character, their essence, their personality, not about appearance, not about possessions, but about their true identity. One participant said something I'll never forget. A woman told me I had a calming presence that made others feel safe around me. I kept replaying that sentence in my head for days. No one had ever said anything like that to me. I really wanted to get to know her better. Do you see the difference? The compliment had nothing to do with looks, money, car, job, or height. It was a woman who saw something real in him, something others overlooked, and simply said it. That one sentence sparked a positive emotional obsession that lasted for weeks. And I see this time and again in my practice. Mature women vastly underestimate the impact they have when they allow themselves to be emotionally expressive. They don't tell men when they've handled something brilliantly, or when they've dealt with a difficult situation with dignity, or when their humor genuinely relaxed them. By holding back, they lose access to the only path through which men truly open up emotionally, through genuine recognition. Let me tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. As part of a study we conducted in 2018, relationship coach Matthew Hussey proposed a fascinating social experiment. He worked with a group of women over 50, giving them a specific task, Over the course of 1 week, they were to approach 10 different men and give them a compliment, but under no circumstances was it to be about their physical appearance. The compliment had to focus on their behavior, their emotions, their character, or their way of interacting with the world. The results were so striking that we triple-checked the data. 80% of these men responded with genuine gratitude and deep curiosity. Over half wanted to continue the conversation. Some even invited the women on formal dates. A 58-year-old participant approached a man in a cafe and praised him for how gently he helped his elderly father stand up. She said, "That moment told me everything I need to know about you. Your father is lucky to have you as his son." The man froze for a few seconds, then gave her a smile she described as vulnerable and sincere and said, "Wow, no one has said anything like that to me in years. That really means a lot." They talked for 40 minutes, met again the next day, dated for 3 months, and developed a connection both described as unexpectedly deep. What changed the entire dynamic? A single genuine compliment, not about his looks, but about his character. But here's something many women don't understand about male neuropsychology. When a man receives that kind of recognition from a mature woman, something changes chemically in his brain. A combination of dopamine and oxytocin is released, what neuroscientists refer to as a positive emotional anchor. The brain literally marks that moment as significant and marks that woman as special. This isn't manipulation, it's applied neuroscience in human relationships. Men have been socially conditioned to suppress vulnerable emotions. When a woman gives a compliment that goes deeper than the surface, she automatically deactivates those emotional defense mechanisms. She creates a psychological space where he feels safe enough to truly show himself, without a mask, without the pressure to perform masculinity. Let me be completely honest with you. From decades of experience, I know that the compliments that truly touch a man are not the ones that feed his superficial ego. They're the ones that make him think, "This woman truly sees me. She notices things about me I didn't even know someone could see." Here are the specific keys you can apply immediately in your life. First neuropsychological key: praise his actions and values, never just his material possessions. Instead of, "What a nice car," say, "It's clear you've worked with discipline and foresight to build stability for yourself. That says a lot about your character, and I truly respect that." This shifts the focus away from the superficial and toward his inner attitude, and that's what men are genuinely proud of. Second key: praise the emotional impact he has on those around him. For example, "You have a presence that brings real calm. When we talk, I feel instantly more centered. That's a rare gift." Most men never hear something like that. But deep inside, they're eager to know how they emotionally affect others. Third key: acknowledge his personal growth and emotional self-reflection. If he tells you he learned from a mistake or went through a tough period, say, "It takes real emotional maturity to be that honest about yourself." Most people avoid that kind of self-reflection. That shows me you're still growing as a person. With this, you show him that you see his inner development, something especially powerful for mature men who often don't even realize they're still evolving. And now comes something that changed my entire understanding of this topic. The inner effect such a compliment has on the male psyche is deeper than you might imagine. Biologically, men and women are neurologically wired for real connection, but most men have been socially conditioned to suppress vulnerable emotions, to avoid seeking validation, and to pretend emotional self-sufficiency. When a mature woman gives a man a compliment that acknowledges something real and deep within him, she not only disarms his automatic defense mechanisms, she creates what we in psychology call a moment of safe vulnerability, an emotional space where he allows himself to be truly seen without the social masks he usually wears to protect himself from judgment. Neurologically speaking, in these meaningful conversations where recognition is genuine, a natural cocktail of dopamine, the neurotransmitter of joy and motivation, and oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and trust, is released. Compliments tied to emotional truth trigger this chemical response, which helps store the moment in long-term memory and associates that woman with a profound feeling of well-being and authentic connection. Let me tell you a true story that perfectly illustrates the transformative power of this approach. Barry, a 62-year-old executive, told me in a session about something that completely changed his perspective on mature relationships. A woman in his social circle once said something that left a deep impression on him. "You're the kind of man who brings calm into a room just by walking in." That's a form of leadership most people don't even recognize. Barry admitted, "That woman saw something in me I didn't even know others could perceive. I couldn't stop thinking about her words for days. They made me reflect on my presence and how I want to show up in the world. I just couldn't forget her." He asked her out for coffee. That led to a deep friendship, which eventually blossomed into a romantic relationship. 2 years later, they got married. And it all began with a compliment that touched something invisible but real in his character. What made that compliment so powerful? It wasn't luck or coincidence. It was a mature woman with emotional intelligence, someone who had learned to see beyond the surface and recognize genuine character traits. And when she voiced that observation, she created an emotional imprint that became the foundation of a deep connection. I fully understand that after disappointments, betrayals, or failed relationships, expressing yourself emotionally in this way can feel vulnerable, even risky. But mature women hold a unique and unmatched advantage, decades of life experience that give their words a completely different emotional weight. When a woman your age, with your life experience, gives a compliment, it doesn't sound like youthful flirtation or shallow flattery. It sounds like a truth shaped by life itself. A reflection from someone who has known enough people to distinguish the real from the false. And when this emotional wisdom is expressed as genuine recognition, it becomes almost irresistible to a mature man who has spent a lifetime waiting to be truly seen. Over the years, I've seen countless extraordinary women miss out on real connection because they hold back emotionally, because they stay silent or downplay themselves, out of fear of rejection or because of outdated social conditioning. But you have a conscious choice, and you can keep these thoughts and observations to yourself, or you can begin to be seen through compliments that rise far above the emotional noise of daily life. You don't need to become a poet or sound like a self-help book. You simply need to observe and put what you truly see into words. It can come across completely naturally. You listen in a way that makes people feel truly heard. That's much rarer than you think. Or the way you stood up for that stranger in the restaurant when he was being treated unfairly. That told me everything I needed to know about your character. That takes real courage. Or, I can see that you're someone who doesn't give up when things get hard. That inner strength is very present. None of these sentences cost you anything, not money, not effort. But to a man who rarely hears anything deeper than surface-level remarks about his appearance or status, it's like fresh water in an emotional desert that's lasted for decades. This becomes especially transformative when it comes from mature women because you've naturally developed the emotional intelligence and life experience needed to look beyond the facade. You can recognize true character, real values, personal growth. And when you express that recognition, it has an impact younger women simply cannot replicate. Not because they lack the intention, but because they lack the lived experience. And the next step for you is to start practicing conscious emotional observation. Begin giving real attention to the men in your life. Don't focus on how they look or what they own. Watch who they really are. Notice what they do when they think no one is looking. Pay attention to what excites them, how they treat people who offer them nothing, how they handle frustration, how they show care. And when you see something real, something true, something that reveals their genuine character, simply say it. Just one sincere sentence. You don't need to make a speech or turn it into something complicated. Just give the compliment, smile honestly, and be present in that moment of human connection. And I promise you, you'll be deeply surprised by the responses you receive, because men have an almost photographic emotional memory for the women who truly see them. They may not remember your outfit or your hairstyle, but they will never forget the woman who saw their soul, their real values, their genuine emotional presence in the world. You, who have experienced mature relationships, deep connections, and also profound disappointments, you know better than anyone. True emotional intimacy goes far beyond surface attraction. When you recognize that depth in a man and speak it out loud, you create an emotional imprint that can shape his self-image and how he remembers that moment for years, even decades. In a world flooded with shallow interactions, digital swipes, and empty conversations without emotional depth, your authenticity becomes something profoundly valuable. It is a superpower that only women with real-life experience can use, with the emotional nuance needed to create lasting connection. Fourth key, praise his emotional intuition when he shows it. Men rarely receive recognition for emotional intelligence, but when they do, it resonates deeply. If you notice that he's perceptive in a social situation or shows genuine empathy, say something like, "You really have a sense for what people need." That's a gift not many people have. Such a compliment validates a part of his masculinity that society traditionally overlooks. Fifth key, acknowledge his ability to create emotional safety. If a man makes you feel calm and secure, if his presence builds trust, tell him, "Your presence makes people feel like they can truly be themselves." That's real emotional leadership. Men deeply long to know that they can be a source of emotional stability, especially for women they admire. Sixth neuropsychological key, praise his reliability in specific terms. Instead of just saying, "You're dependable," say, "I've noticed that when you say you'll do something, you really follow through." In a world where words have lost their value, that kind of integrity stands out. This type of compliment hits at his sense of honor, his identity as a man who stands by his word. Seventh key, acknowledge his ability to grow and adapt. Mature men often feel stuck or believe they're no longer capable of change. If you notice that he's evolving, say, "I really admire how you continue to learn and adjust your perspective. That humility to grow is a strength few people develop with age." With that, you affirm that maturity doesn't mean stagnation, it means growing wisdom. What's so fascinating about these keys is this: they don't require any performance, any manipulation, just conscious presence and the courage to speak out real observations. But let me prepare you for something important. As soon as you begin applying this, you will notice an immediate shift in how men respond to you. Not just romantically, but in terms of respect, attention, and emotional memorability. Let me share another real-life story that perfectly illustrates this. Elena, a 52-year-old architect, came to my practice feeling invisible to men her age. She had been alone for 5 years after a difficult divorce and believed her best romantic years were behind her. During our sessions, we specifically worked on cultivating the ability to offer genuine recognition. 3 weeks after Elena started applying these principles in her daily life, she met Roberto, a 58-year-old engineer, at a parent-teacher evening at her daughter's school. Roberto was in the middle of a tense situation where another father had become aggressive over a sports dispute. Elena observed how Roberto stayed calm, took the other man's concerns seriously without backing down, and managed to fully de-escalate the situation. After the meeting, Elena walked over to him and said, "The way you handled that situation was impressive. You preserved your own dignity while helping him preserve his. That kind of emotional leadership is rare. Your daughter is lucky to have such an example." Roberto was visibly moved. He immediately asked for her number and admitted that no one had given him such a specific and meaningful compliment in years. 6 months later, Elena and Roberto were married in an intimate ceremony. When I asked what the turning point in their relationship was, both referred to that first moment of praise. Roberto said, "That woman truly saw me. She saw the father I want to be, the man I want to become." And Elena added, "When I saw his face light up, I realized how much power I had been leaving unused for years." This story reveals something essential. When a mature woman consistently offers genuine recognition, she doesn't just attract men, she transforms them. She helps them see themselves more clearly, more deeply, more fully. And when a man feels truly seen and appreciated by a woman, he develops an emotional loyalty that can last a lifetime. But here's something you should truly internalize. This approach doesn't work because it's some kind of psychological trick. It works because it's a natural expression of emotional maturity. Women your age have the ability to look beyond surfaces to see real character and to value substance over image. When you speak from that place, you are simply being your most authentic, powerful self. The difference between a woman who understands this principle and one who doesn't is the difference between someone who creates unforgettable connections and someone who goes emotionally unnoticed. It's the difference between being forgotten in a week or remembered for decades. Eighth advanced key: acknowledge his experiential wisdom. Mature men carry decades of experience, mistakes, learning, and success. When he shares a perspective shaped by that life experience, validate it. That kind of wisdom can't be taught. It's earned. Recognizing it honors his journey and tells him his years are a valuable asset, not a flaw. Ninth key: praise his ability for deep conversation. In an age where most conversations remain shallow, it's exceptional when a man communicates sincerely and thoughtfully. Say something like, "It's refreshing to talk to someone who can go deeper. Your thoughts really make me think. I lose track of time talking to you." Intellectually curious men rarely get recognition for their depth of thought or conversation. 10th neuropsychological key: acknowledge his true moments of vulnerability. When a mature man shares something personal, a worry, an insecurity, or admits he doesn't have all the answers, that is a moment of true openness. Say, "I really appreciate how honest you are about your insecurities. Strength doesn't mean knowing everything, it's the courage to admit when you don't." This kind of praise affirms that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. The practical application of all these keys requires what I call conscious emotional attention. That means being truly present in your interactions, observing people carefully, and having the courage to express genuine, positive observations when they are real and meaningful. But let me be completely honest with you that this approach doesn't guarantee that every man you compliment will fall in love with you or want a relationship. But that's not the goal. The goal is to become a woman who is remembered, a woman who positively impacts others, who creates real and meaningful connection. What I can guarantee is this: if you apply this approach consistently, you will notice profound changes in how men respond to you. They will remember you, seek your presence, and value your perspective. And when the right man comes along, you will have the emotional tools to build a connection that goes far beyond surface attraction. The 11th, and perhaps most important, key: acknowledge his future potential, not just who he is now. If you see capabilities or qualities in a man that he may not yet fully recognize in himself, speak to that gently. For example, I see leadership potential in you that others might overlook. Or, the way you think could really inspire a lot of people. These kinds of statements affirm not only who he is, but who he can become. That's why my invitation to you is clear and direct. Don't wait any longer to begin. Don't postpone this expression of genuine recognition for the perfect moment or for the day when you feel more confident. The next time you see a man doing something real, showing true character, simply being himself in a way that you admire, say it. Speak it out loud. Acknowledge it with the depth and precision it deserves. Start with small moments, in situations with little risk. The man in the cafe who serves you with genuine kindness. The neighbor who always greets you with respect. The colleague who receives criticism with dignity. Practice seeing and then expressing. Develop this skill like any other meaningful ability in your life. It might be this one simple decision, to show up emotionally and speak real recognition, that turns you into the woman he can't stop thinking about. In a society where most people pass each other emotionally unseen, where interactions grow increasingly shallow and digital, genuine recognition becomes a rare and extraordinary gift. A gift that only you, with your experience, your wisdom, and your sharpened ability to truly see people, can give with the kind of emotional depth that transforms lives and creates lasting connection. Always remember, every word you choose has the power not only to influence how others see you, but how you see yourself. When you recognize the real in others, you strengthen your own authenticity. When you validate depth in others, you deepen your own capacity for connection. This isn't just a method for attracting men. It's a life philosophy, one that makes you the kind of woman who is remembered for all the right reasons. A woman who not only is seen, but who truly sees. A woman who isn't just desired, but deeply respected. A woman who doesn't see her life experience as a limitation, but as her greatest strength, to create exactly the kind of genuine connections she's always longed for. The transformation you'll experience through these principles goes far beyond romance. You will become the kind of person people are drawn to, remember, and truly value. You'll develop a magnetic presence that has nothing to do with youth or external perfection, and everything to do with something much deeper: the ability to make others feel truly seen and appreciated. That is the difference between a woman who competes and a woman who makes competition irrelevant. The right moment to begin is now. And the person who can change everything in your love life is you. With one simple decision to show up emotionally with presence and authenticity. You don't have to be perfect.
You don't have to have all the answers.
You don't have to be completely past all your insecurities. You just need to start seeing and saying what you see, step by step, one genuine compliment at a time.